Let me ask you something before you close this video. Have you ever caught your wife, or the woman you love, looking at you like she's 1,000 miles away, even though she's sitting right next to you? It's not that she stopped loving you. It's not that she stopped being attracted to you. It's because there's a list of desires that 99% of you will never figure out on your own, because no married woman ever says this out loud. Not to her best friend, not to her husband, sometimes not even to herself, because she can't even name what she's missing. She just knows something is missing. I'm going to walk you through all 15, not the tired cliches you've already heard 1,000 times. Compliment her more, buy her flowers, be more romantic. Everybody says that, and it changes nothing. I'm going to tell you the real ones, the ones that make a married woman look at her husband and think quietly to herself, this one actually gets me. Before we go further, let me tell you something personal. I spent years listening to married women, in therapy sessions, in 3 a.m. conversations, in confessions that only come out when no one's judging, and it took me all that time to understand there's this huge gap between what a woman says she wants and what she's actually starving for underneath. And the reason I'm sitting here talking to you today is because I once watched a marriage nearly fall apart over something so simple it makes me angry that nobody ever talks about it. I'll tell you that story halfway through this video, so stay with me till we get there. Hit that like button right now. I need to know how many of you are actually willing to hear the truth, even when it stings a little. And drop the word gift in the comments the moment one of these points hits close to home for you. Let's begin. The first desire is feeling like she's the exception to your logic, not just to your heart. Let me explain this in a way that's actually practical, because it sounds abstract, but it's not. After 20, 30 years of marriage, every guy builds routines. You've got the time you wake up, the route you drive to work, the game you watch every weekend, the beer you have at the same bar with the same friends. There's nothing wrong with that. It's human. It's natural. But there's a world of difference between the man who never once steps outside that routine for anyone and the man who, every once in a while, breaks his own pattern simply because she needed him to, or simply because she deserved it. I'm not talking about some grand movie gesture. I'm talking about you turning off the game you were about to watch because she had a rough day and needed someone next to her on the couch. I'm talking about you taking the long way home just to stop by that little shop she mentioned weeks ago, almost in passing, that she wanted to check out. I once spoke with a woman, married 27 years, who told me through tears that what hurt the most wasn't that her husband never did big grand things for her. It was that in almost 3 decades, he had never once broken his routine because of her. That erodes a marriage slowly, quietly. No fighting, no yelling, just an emptiness that keeps growing in the background. Let me ask you honestly, and answer this in the back of your mind without lying to yourself. When's the last time you actually broke your own pattern just because it was for her? It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Hold on to that answer. It's going to matter later. The second desire is stranger than it sounds. She wants to be interrupted, in the good way. Let me give you a real everyday example. Imagine she comes home and says, "I'm calling my sister and telling her exactly how I feel. I'm done with this situation." A lot of men, just to avoid the friction, say something like, "Do whatever you think is best, honey." Sounds like a supportive husband, right? But what she actually feels, more often than not, is that you didn't care enough to have an opinion. A married woman, deep down, wants her husband to have the courage to disagree with her sometimes, to stop her before she makes a decision that's going to hurt her, to say, "Wait, hold on, let's think this through together before you call her angry." Not because she wants to be controlled, far from it, but because she wants to feel like she has a partner who's actually engaged in her life, not a bystander who agrees with everything just to avoid conflict. A man who agrees with everything all the time doesn't bring peace. He brings absence dressed up as good manners. A patient of mine, married over 20 years, once said something I've never forgotten. "I'd rather he disagree with me lovingly than pretend to agree with me out of indifference." Sit with that for a second. The third desire is being the first person to hear the news, not the last. Let me give you an example you might actually recognize. You get good news at work, maybe a promotion, or you finally solved something that had been bothering you for months. On the drive home, you already called your best friend, excited, telling him all about it. You got home, had dinner, watched some TV, and it's only when she asks, "So, how was your day?" that you casually mention, almost as an afterthought, "Oh, right, I got some good news today." She felt that, even if she never said a word about it, because she noticed she wasn't the first person you wanted to share that with. She doesn't want to be first because she's vain or jealous. She wants to be first because that's exactly what separates a life partner from someone who just finds out later. Answer quickly. Don't overthink it. Don't lie to yourself. Who was the last person to hear a piece of your good news before she did? If that answer bothered you a little, hold on to it too. We're going to close this list out with something practical, so stick with me until the end. The fourth desire is being proud of her in silence. Here's a simple example. You're at a family gathering. She's telling a story, laughing, just being herself. You don't need to compliment her in front of everyone. Anyone can do that for the sake of appearances, to look like the perfect husband. What actually matters is the look you give her from across the room, when she has no idea you're even watching. A look that quietly says, "I got lucky with this one." Women feel that kind of look far more than any verbal compliment, and they miss it terribly once the years go by, once marriage turns into routine, and nobody really looks at anybody anymore. That kind of silent pride holds up a married woman's sense of self far more than any pretty speech ever could. The fifth desire is being intellectually challenged, not just admired. This one catches a lot of men off guard, because they think all they need to do is find their wife attractive and call it a day. But think about it. After 20, 30 years together, how often do you two actually talk about an idea, a subject neither of you fully understands, an old dream that never got chased down? Or has your conversation turned into just, "Did you pay the electric bill? What are we having for dinner tomorrow? Call your son. He's not answering." She wants a man who debates with her, who asks her opinion on something that actually matters, who treats her like someone who can teach him something. 2. Not just someone who runs the household. That's rare after so many years of marriage, and exactly because it's rare, it's incredibly magnetic when it happens. An honest question for you. Do you two still talk about ideas? About the world? About old dreams that could still come true? Or has your conversation turned into pure household logistics? Bills, grandkids, groceries? If the answer is just logistics, don't worry. There's a fix for that, and I'll give it to you later. The sixth desire is being protected from your mental absence, not just from physical danger. Here's an example. Almost every man lives out today. You're having dinner, she's telling you something about her day, and your phone buzzes on the table. You glance at it, just to see who it is, and in that instant she feels, in her skin, that she just lost your attention to some random notification. It sounds small, but repeated every single day, for years, it turns into an enormous void. A lot of men protect their wives from everything out there, from danger on the street, from financial trouble, but leave her completely alone on the inside, body present, mind somewhere else entirely. She feels that absence far more than any argument, because at least an argument is presence, is attention, even if it hurts. Absence is just emptiness. And here's the moment I promised you, the story of the marriage that almost ended. A couple came to see me, married over 30 years, exhausted, not fighting, not yelling, just exhausted. And when I asked her what was missing, she didn't mention cheating, she didn't mention money. She said a sentence I've never forgotten. "I feel like he's here, but I don't feel him with me." That's when I understood that the deepest desire of a married woman isn't a movie-style romance, isn't an expensive trip. It's real presence, no phone, no mind wandering somewhere else. And the seventh desire, the one I consider the turning point of this entire list, comes directly out of that story. The seventh desire is feeling like she's the reason you became a better version of yourself, not the excuse to stop growing altogether. This is incredibly common after many years of marriage. A man wins the girl, builds a family, achieves stability, and from that point on, he stops. Stops taking care of his body, stops learning anything new, stops dreaming big, stops challenging himself, and just starts living on routine and complaints. She feels that deeply because she wanted to see the opposite. She wanted to feel like marriage made you want to become more, not less. Here's a real example. Have you ever thought about picking up something you always wanted to learn? An instrument, a language, even just taking better care of your health and talked yourself out of it because "I'm too old for that now"? She misses seeing that spark in you, the spark of someone who still wants to grow, even decades into the relationship. And I need you to answer this one with your hand on your chest. Are you a better version of yourself today than you were 10, 20 years ago? Or did you switch to autopilot the moment you won her over and got the stability you wanted? If you just felt a tightness in your chest, drop the word awake in the comments below, because that means this video is already working on you, and what's coming next is going to hit even harder. The 8th desire is feeling like you remember the details she never even repeated. It's not about anniversaries, Valentine's Day. Any calendar can remind you of those. It's about that offhand sentence she said 3 weeks ago, in the middle of some random conversation. Something like, "Gosh, I really wish I had time to paint again," or "I haven't had my mom's homemade pie in so long." And you, out of nowhere, no special occasion at all, show up with the paint supplies, or track down the recipe and make that pie for her. That speaks louder than any anniversary ever could, because it proves you listen to her even when she isn't asking for attention, even when she herself forgot she said it. The 9th desire is feeling chosen every single day, not just once at the altar. The "I do" was said years ago, in a church, a courthouse, in front of everyone, but she wants to feel you choosing her all over again, every day, in the middle of a busy week, when you're exhausted after a hard day at work, during the financial crunch that's tightened everything, in the moment when it would honestly be easier to just give up trying and turn your backs on each other inside your own home. That daily choice weighs so much more than a promise made decades ago. If today were the very first time you two met, from scratch, no kids, no house, no obligation tying you together, just the two of you getting to know each other, would you choose her all over again? Hold on to that answer. It matters more than it seems. The 10th desire is emotional rest, not just help around the house. Splitting chores is good, it's important, but what she really wants, more often than not, is to be able to vent about her day without you jumping straight to solving everything on the spot. She comes to you upset about something, and you're already halfway through a step-by-step plan to fix it, when all she wanted was to be heard. No technical advice, no action plan, just presence and a comforting silence while she talks it out. The 11th desire is feeling a healthy kind of jealousy from you. No drama, no scene, no controlling behavior. This isn't about toxic possessiveness that poisons any relationship. It's about her feeling, every once in a while, that you notice when another man looks at her across a restaurant, at a family party, and that it still stirs something in you, even if you don't make a scene about it. That confirms for her that the spark hasn't gone out after all these years. Do you still show that from time to time? Or have you gotten too comfortable to even feel a little jealous anymore? The 12th desire is feeling like you defend her even when she isn't around. Think about how you talk about her with your friends, at the bar, in that casual guy talk. Do you complain about her to seem funny? To loosen up the conversation? Or do you honor her even in her absence? She'll never know for certain what you say when she's not there, but deep down, she feels it when a man honors her in her absence, because it comes through in how you treat her when you're together. That builds a kind of security no direct words could ever build. The 13th desire is freedom within commitment. It sounds contradictory, but married women, especially after years of taking care of the house, the kids, the husband, want to feel like they still have room to be themselves, a hobby, a friend to go out with, some time alone without guilt, and without being made to feel selfish for it. And here's the interesting part, that freedom, paradoxically, makes her want to stay even closer to you. Because real freedom inside a relationship never pushes away someone who genuinely wants to be there. It only pushes away someone who is already halfway out the door. The 14th desire is seeing vulnerability, not just strength. A lot of men, especially the older generation, grew up hearing that they need to be a rock all the time, that men don't cry, that men don't show fear. But what truly brings a couple close is when he shows fear, doubt, exhaustion, uncertainty about the future, and trusts her enough to share it, instead of holding it all in alone until it explodes or makes him sick. That's not weakness. That's real intimacy. And that's exactly what separates a marriage of mere survival from a marriage of real connection. When's the last time you showed her something that genuinely scares you inside, without pretending everything's under control? The 15th and final desire is feeling like she can still be surprised by your capacity to change. The biggest emotional turn-on for a married woman isn't a fancy dinner, isn't an expensive trip, isn't a pricey gift. It's realizing that the man she married, even after all these years, is still capable of transforming, of admitting an old mistake, of growing, of becoming a better version of himself right in front of her. That reignites something no gift could ever buy. Now breathe with me for a second. because I need to tell you one last thing before you leave this video. If you made it all the way here, first of all, truly, congratulations. Because most men wouldn't have the courage to look at this entire list and honestly ask themselves how many of these 15 they actually deliver today. But listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. This isn't about being perfect at all 15. No man is. It's about choosing, starting today, 2 or 3 of these points and deciding, consciously, to deliver on them every single day, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it, even when it seems like it won't make a difference. Because it does. Small, consistent changes are worth infinitely more than one grand promise that lasts a week and then fades right back to normal. Drop a comment below telling me which of these 15 caught you off guard, which number you're going to start working on today, and subscribe to this channel right now, because next week I'm bringing you the other side of this story, what men secretly desire and never tell their wives. And if this video stirred something in you, hit like, share it with another man who needs to hear this, because sometimes the difference between a marriage that grows cold over time and a marriage that lasts a lifetime is just one person having the courage to show you what was hidden all along. You already know what you need to do now. The question is, will you?